social sellers and video, but I'll say marketers and video, sellers and video. Let's just say video. Look, Ma, I'm on camera. Part 2. And yes, I do have a digital camera, and I make all my TV shows, my cable TV shows are all done in a home studio with a great digital camera, so I know how this works. We have 3 wonderful experts on the panel. Let me tell you who they are just briefly. Mark Lotenero, I think I said that right, Mark, Senior Client Success Manager for Grapevine 6. We have Julio Viscovich. He's coming back. They're all returning guests. At Next Level Sales, we'll find out more about what he does. And Alexandra Witta, if you're looking her up, WITTE, lead for the Global Virtual Customer Experience Community at SAP. Welcome to my panelists, and let's start with Mark Lotenero. Mark has sent us a quote from Jordan Belfort. I didn't recognize the name, Mark. I looked him up. You know, I do the background research, and I said to myself, why didn't I remember his name? So let me do it. Jordan Ross Belfort, born in 1962. To me, he's quite a young guy. American author, motivational speaker, and former stockbroker. In 1999, he pleaded guilty to fraud and related crimes in connection with stock market manipulation, and he was running a boiler room. I think everybody knows what that is, as part of a penny stock scam. Think fraud. He spent almost 2 years in prison, and he made an agreement to give testimony against his partners and the people working under him in the fraud scheme. But here's the kicker. He published the memoir, The Wolf of Wall Street, in 2007, and it was made into a movie that came out in 2013. So yes, The Wolf of Wall Street relates back to Jordan Belfort. Here's the quote. Listen up. No matter what happened to you in your past, you are not your past. You are the resources and the capabilities you gain from it, and that is the basis for all change. Mark Lotenero, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me back on, Bonnie. I appreciate it.
Delighted. And one of your colleagues from Grapevine 6 was on the first part of this we did on our social selling with Game Changer series. So we're very happy to have you back. Mark, talk to me. Jordan Belfort, this isn't a confession, but he's saying, hey, let's move on. Let's grow from what we did, good, bad, or ugly. So tell me, how does this relate to our topic? Video for marketing and sales? Talk to me.
Sure, yeah. So I think Jordan was pretty spot on here. And you know, given some of the past decisions he's made, I think he's one of the best to really speak to this. But, you know, in my eyes, people tend to think that their past failures or their shortcomings or their bad experiences, they think that shapes who they are today and who they're going to be in the future. But in reality, you know, it's the lessons and the takeaways and the learnings from those past experiences that really help us grow and make those positive outcomes and, you know, just general changes in our lives. So a lot of people are weary or hesitant or self-conscious, insecure, or they lack confidence to really put themselves out there and break the mold of tradition to try new things and to get out of their comfort zone because of those past experiences. So I think it's important to really understand that it is only when we take those chances and break out of whatever previous molds we were held into, where we become better, more well-rounded individuals. And, you know, in terms of today's topic, I think a lot of people are hesitant to leverage video. Video can be very, you know, revealing about an individual, and a lot of us are insecure and self-conscious. They're worried about what their audience is going to think about them. So whatever those, you know, past shortcomings might be, whatever those insecurities are, you know, use those to your advantage. Get outside of your comfort zone and just do what you need to do to really expand your digital brand and to get in touch with your audience. And I think video is an excellent way to do that.
It sounds like, Mark Lotenero, it sounds like you're saying take the risk, make the leap, don't be afraid, be authentic, let it all hang out, as we used to say. Is that the message that you just gave us?
That's exactly right. And I think one of the big issues is people are worried about how others are going to look at them. And a lot is revealed about an individual through an intimate video. It's really hard to fake that. So I do think that there is some hesitancy. People are scared to put themselves out there. They're fear of being rejected, fearing that no one's going to interact with the content that they share from a video standpoint.
Yeah.
So it's about breaking away from that mindset and just putting yourself out there. Like you said, Bonnie, just taking the risk and take every step as a new learning experience to get better and grow.
Very interesting. And that goes back, Mark, to my opening when I said don't think you need to hire a professional video crew and invest in a lot of technology. And what I meant is don't think you need to make it perfect. I know that we've talked with this panel, I think, about Gary Vee, and somebody will probably bring that up later about he just sits there and talks from the wine company he's running for his father in New Jersey, and they weren't doing great business, and he started doing videos, and he just exploded on social and grew the business exponentially very quickly. But the point is that the comment has been made, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary Vee, he just sits there and talks to the camera like he's talking to his buddy. He's a real deal, and he says what he says. And I think this is what we're looking for. So, Mark, be like Gary Vee. Is that one of our sub messages here?
It's funny. I actually almost used a Gary Vee quote instead of the one that I used from Jordan, and I'm not even kidding. And I think he's a huge inspiration to the folks out there that are a little bit weary about putting themselves out there, because funny, he is a completely transparent individual. Yeah. He does take some backlash for it, but that's going to always come with the territory. Anytime you are your true self, you're going to always get some backlash. But Gary Vee is a perfect example and a testament of authenticity and getting an audience to rally behind you because of that authenticity. Huge fan of Gary.
Thank you. I'm glad I brought it up. It just came to mind. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And now let's move a little bit around the table to our second panelist, welcoming back Julio Viskovich. If you want to look him up, Viskovich, and that's part of his Twitter handle, Julio Visco, Visko. That's very clever, Julio. And he has sent us a quote from Confucius, 551 to 479 BC. They counted from the big numbers down to the smaller numbers in BC. I always have to get used to that. He was a Chinese teacher, an editor, politician, and philosopher of the spring and autumn period of Chinese history, and his philosophy is known as Confucianism. He emphasized personal and governmental morality, correctness of social relationships. There we go, Julia. That's applicable. He wasn't thinking about the social relationships we have today online. We didn't know about that. Justice and sincerity. There's that sincerity, authenticity. So the quote is, "Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." Julio, how are you?
I am excellent, Bonnie. Thank you for having me back on the show.
We are delighted to have you back. Tell me, first of all, what do you do? I'm going to go later into your bio, but tell me about what you do at Next Level Sales. I want to put your title in here. Founder, CEO?
Yeah, founder.
Okay, I like that. Good. Now, talk to me about this quote. It reminds me a little bit of the Jordan Belfort quote that Mark Lieutenero just shared with us. And I know you two didn't get together and say, oh, let's pick quotes that are similar. So tell me how you picked this one, and what does it have to do with video?
Well, it has to do with video and the fact that it's something new, right? I think as a salesperson, we're so used to, the same old, sending emails, making cold calls, doing things without putting our face in front of the customer, and getting someone to jump on video is asking them to do something completely different. It's, an entrepreneurial thought process where, we're going to try something new. We're going to put ourselves out there, and there's a good chance that it's not going to be a one-and-done video. The first time you actually make a video, you're probably going to fall a few times. You're going to have to do a couple outtakes. You're going to try it a few times until you finally are happy with it. And I think that's one of the most difficult things making video is turning your camera lens into your prospect. And actually, letting it loose a little bit and actually talking to your prospect by name while looking into a camera lens. And that's something that not everybody's going to be used to. And it's going to be perhaps a little funky when you first try it out. But at the end of the day, whether you fall down, you have a few outtakes, your first videos aren't going to be perfect. But the most important thing is that you're persistent about it and you understand that it's going to work. And I think today we're going to talk about why it's going to work, and hopefully we make everyone feel comfortable about trying out video. And if you do fail and you do fall, it's about being persistent, getting back up, trying it again, and ultimately it's going to pay itself off in your commissions.
Thank you. So well put, Julio. And it reminded me, I mentioned that I now tape my cable TV shows in a home studio I created here in my new home in Durham, North Carolina, as opposed to the 4-camera studio I used in New York, because they didn't have anything like that where I am. The People's Channel here is not set up that way. And so I bit the bullet, invested in a Mevo camera with the boost, and it's run on an iPad, the whole thing, and my director uses his fingers to change the scenes and move the scene around, and we have a whole light board and an audio board. But what I wanted to say was, I give instructions to my guests, and just like the radio show where we're not scripted here, I just do a free-fall conversation rather than a Q&A prepared scripted interview. And I find that the authenticity of my guest, Julio, I just find ways to bring them out and get them excited. And when they smile or they get excited about the topic and talk to me and the camera, it's wonderful, rather than them sitting, oh, let me read my notes. But, Julio, what I wanted to say, and to Mark also, is that I tell my guests, if you say something you don't want or you mess up, we're just going to keep rolling, but just say, hey, stop, I don't want to do that. We just keep rolling, and then I edit it out, which brings me to, there is some really good free editing software as well. I use iMovie, and I put in transitions, I add things in, I take things out. Julio, do you believe in using video editing software if something isn't quite exactly the way you want when you recorded it?
Absolutely. I mean, things happen, right? Oftentimes you may even forget to turn your ringer off on your phone or something, and then all of a sudden it goes off right in the middle of an idea as you're getting it across. So I think the most important thing is just keep going. Avoid the stops and starts as much as possible. Keep going and get it all out there, and you can always edit it out, in the future. So use those transitions and make yourself look good. But again, I think you're bang on there, is just make sure that you just keep going, because it's very difficult to jump back and forth between your thought processes. So for me, I highly recommend what you mentioned, is just keep going, edit it out later, use transitions. It's never been easier to use really user-friendly softwares now that allow you to do a good job editing, and iMovie is a great example.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Just doing a little case study here. And now our third panelist, she has so much great information for us. We're delighted to welcome back Alexandra Witta. And Alexandra has sent us a beautiful quote from Maya Angelou, not the one we usually get from our panelists. Maya Angelou, born Marguerite Annie Johnson, 1928 to 2014, was an American poet, singer, memoirist, and civil rights activist. She published only 7 autobiographies. I don't know how many people even do more than one. She had 3 books of essays, several books of poetry, and she is credited with plays, movies, and TV shows over a half century. That's 50 years. She received more than 50 honorary degrees, and she's most famous for her first autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, published in 1969. So here is the beautiful quote, and that was of her life up to the age of 17. Here is the quote Alexandra has selected from Maya Angelou. Listen up. If you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. Alexandra, welcome back. I love the quote. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks, Bonnie. I love to be on your show again. And how are you doing today?
Well, it's very kind of you to ask. I'm very excited. I've already hosted 2 webinars, and this is my first of 2 radio shows. So this is the authentic me, very excited to be doing what I do. And I love the authenticity of speaking to you, Alexandra, and Mark and Julia on live radio, because this is who we are. This is what's on our mind. So tell me about this. The quote took me by surprise, Alexandra. Trying to be normal, you'll never know how amazing you can be. Let's relate that to the concept of making videos in-house with your own people in your company. Talk to me.
Yeah, so I chose the quote because I think it's very inspiring, and I also chose it because it serves as a reminder for myself, because I need to constantly push myself to look for the next big thing that makes communication more engaging and more exciting, because video now has become so normal to me that I'm already looking for the next thing with video, like interactive video, or how we can improve the live stream experience. So I think, 3 years ago, for instance, I talked about putting your own videos on LinkedIn, and I hardly saw anyone doing this. But today, this has become very standard. So I think we constantly need to push ourselves to look for the next communication method. And this is why I chose the quote. And I'm probably also going to hang it up on my wall so that I will always push myself every day to look for something new.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad you mentioned that. I just looked up LinkedIn and videos, and there is actually a LinkedIn video here called How to Embed Video into LinkedIn with the full instructions. There are a lot of posts on YouTube on exactly how to do it. So it's very much considered something that couldn't be done. Now, Alexandra, I want you to define normal versus amazing. Let's dive a little bit deeper into that quote. What's your thought?
Yeah, I think today normal is hopefully that people are not using just their smartphones or their email to communicate with prospects and customers, but that they also use video communication. And if you want to be amazing, then you are either using video in another way or in a new way, or you try new ways to combine video with other means of communication. So I think it's also about how you leverage the technology that is out there. For instance, this year, we covered 7 of our events via self-recorded videos, and there were some events where we collected our first experience doing that. And I still remember one event where my colleague just took the 360 camera, plugged it onto his phone, and did a 360 live booth tour, and that was the first 360 video that he ever did in his life. Right, and he just went for it, and this is the spirit that I love, and
wow.
This is what I can only encourage everyone to do.
I'm flabbergasted. That is really something. And when you're live streaming is even a scarier aspect. I have the option of live streaming my TV shows, but I'd rather have the opportunity to look at them and make those transitions I was discussing with Julio. And I also, here's something interesting that I do. I don't know if it's appropriate in business videos. I listen to what my guests say, and I write in a crawl underneath that goes across the screen from right to left, bits and pieces of the conversation or their words of wisdom on whatever the topic of our discussion is, so that I've added a piece of visual interest to just listening to somebody talk and watching somebody talk. And I find it makes it a little more like a news show and makes it very interesting to see the crawl. And I do it every couple of minutes, not all the time, so that you get to concentrate on the conversation. Then you get to see this call out, if you will, of what was important for me as the host and producer, what I think is memorable as a takeaway from my guests. Do you ever encourage people to do that in editing, Alexandra, to put a crawl or to post a call out from the conversation?
I actually never thought about that. I only preach that, so far I've preached that people should write a compelling description to their video, and that when they send a video message to a prospect or customer, that this text that they add to their video is very personalized, so that the customer prospect doesn't have the impression that it's spam. So everything should be personalized. Even the video, even though you produce a video, it still sounds like spam if you don't personalize it. So this is what I preach whenever I hold my video trainings, and I hope everyone does it.
Thank you. Very, very interesting. I like what you said. Let's just quickly go around the panel before I get to the where are you, what's in your cup, and what's your role, what do you do at your company. Mark Latenero, agree with what Julio has said, what I added, because it's been a while since we spoke to you. What's it been, 12 minutes? And what Alexandra said about the authenticity, about personalizing, about editing. Go ahead, Mark.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think from an editing standpoint, too, is you use everything that you have access to. If you have software that provides you with editing capability, everything absolutely flawless, because that is going to take away from the authenticity. It's going to take away from the personalization aspect of it too as well. And in fact is going to result in your audience not really knowing truly what your personality is like or who you are. It's going to be a button-down, condensed, more professional version. So editing is excellent. Use it when it makes the most sense. But I think just, in the big picture, Bonnie, I think everyone had excellent points in terms of putting yourself out there. Don't be afraid to fail. If you do fail, which is going to happen, don't be afraid to just get up, dust yourself off, and just keep going. Everybody is going to face some shortcomings and some roadblocks, as in any other aspect of our daily lives, right? So why should trying something new be any different? So love what Alexandra and Julio had to say, and I'm excited to continue this conversation.
Thank you. You're very kind. And I will tell you that when I edit my TV shows, there's no attempt at perfection. All I'm trying to do is if there was an awkward moment or if somebody said, stop, I didn't want to say that, I just pull out little tiny clip and I just connect with a nice little blur transition and it goes into the next part of the conversation. And it's really fun for me to look at what was said, because when I'm hosting, I'm not exactly sure. I know what I say and what they say, but I don't have that audience view. It's really fun to see how it turned out and look at it. And I sometimes, if a shot wasn't really good, I'll overlay it with some photos that the guest has sent me just on top, so you hear their voice and then you see a little bit of a montage. It really makes it fun. I'll send you all a link to my Vimeo channel. You can take a look at some of the shows. I think you'll enjoy them. And now, Julio, what are your thoughts about specifically what Alexandra added?
Yeah, I think it's very much on point. I always think of, like, when I think of authentic videos, for whatever reason, I think of the movie Blair Witch Project that came out about 15 or 20 years ago, where essentially it was a horror movie and they filmed it point of view with a camcorder in the woods. And that's why it was so popular, because it was different, it was authentic, it was not polished like you would typically find in a normal Hollywood blockbuster hit. And I think that kind of parlays itself into social selling as well. I think you do have to be authentic and not look to drive perfection in every single video. It's about the message. It's about letting people sit down at a table with you, even though the geographic barriers or time zones might be constraining that. So I think the more you can strive for that type of situation, I think the better off you're going to be in using your videos and the more impactful they're going to be on the potential prospect.
Thank you very much. And now, you know what? Since we just went around the table back to Mark and Julio, I'm going to start off with where are you today? What do you love to drink? And what's your role? We already know a little bit about you, Alexandra, but why don't you start us off? Where are you? I know you called into us from somewhere. I don't think you're in the U.S. today. What's your favorite drink that powers you to be so savvy about helping people make great marketing videos, Alexandra? And bring us up to date on what you do.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I'm calling in from Germany.
Yeah. So we'll just. I hope you guys can able to see my screen. So we'll just directly go with what's the HANA exam. Suppose this is my company. Why? Because the records are stored in the RAM. That's why we call as in-memory DB concept. So in this HANA, so that he can analyze his business properly, and he'll take some decision on a business. So if you need some reports to take a business like decision, you need some reports. SUSE Linux supports the RAM database. So we have around 1 TB RAM capacity to 250 TB of RAM capacity, and this hardware will provided by Dell company. Okay, Dell Inc. will providing this hardware setup, and with support to Intel also. So we can install Studio and the client on any machine. This supports Windows 8, Windows 8.1, any machine, as well as the Ubuntu also Linux. But the server will go to install only on Linux instance, only on Linux, which of SUSE Linux only. Like even this server is not installed in on an HDB server like we call as Ubuntu, Fedora, it not support. So we'll connect client to Studio client, and client will connect to server with a option called ODBC. Okay, and again the client has to buy the license for the ATL tool to move the record from OLTP to yeah, it's done. Yeah. Fine. So we'll just. I hope you guys can able to see my screen. So we'll just directly go with what's the HANA exam. Suppose this is my company. So my company is always runs on the OLTP system, online transaction process, in which I can use SQL software, I can use Oracle database, I can use any SAP softwares. So when end user enters the record will goes to expert of their database. It may be SAP or non-SAPs. Like so. So here is my client. So client needs a business status so that he can analyze his business properly and he'll take some decision on a business. So he needs some reports to take a business like decision. He needs some reports. If company will get a report on this OLTP, which has a current data, so company will not analyze the data properly. That's why company are maintaining a separate data warehousing concept called OLAP system, OLAP system, in which the records are constant forever. We can store data permanently. We call as historical data. So we are just moving the record. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
Fine. So we'll just. I hope you guys can able to see my screen. So we just directly go with what's the HANA example. Suppose this is my company. So my company is always runs on the old online transaction process, in which I can use SQL software, I can use Oracle database, I can use any SAP softwares. So when end user enters the record will goes to expert of their database. It may be SAP or non-SAPs. Like so. So here is my client. So client needs a business status so that he can analyze his business properly and he'll take some decision on a business. So if you need some reports to take a business like decision, you need some reports. If company will get a report on this OLTP, which has a current data, so company will not analyze the data properly. That's why company are maintaining a separate data warehousing concept called OLAP system, OLAP system, in which the records are constant forever. We can store data permanently. We call as historical data. So we are just moving the record from OLTP to OLAP by using some ETL tool. Okay, and once the record are placed in this OLTP, based on these records, we are getting a report on the PO or BW or BEX queries. This is what we are doing in the real time right now. So here, in both the cases, the records are stored in the hard drive. And if you talk about here, it's a database concept and it's a data warehousing concept. Both of them, the records are stored in the hard drive and it's a more this one. So this is what we are doing in real right now. So here we have some lot of disadvantages, like see, the client has to maintain the OLTP and OLAP separately. So maintenance cost is very high. Okay, and again the client has to buy the license for the ETL tool to move the record from OLTP to OLAP. Again, it's very costly. And both of them, the records are stored in the hard drive. In hard drive, the records are stored in a raw storage. Like here's my customer ID 01. He ordered some plastic of 2 kgs. His name some Raj. Then we have one more customer ID 02. He ordered some silver of 1 kg. Again, he is some Raj. Then we have one more customer ID 03. He ordered some plastic of 1 kg. Again, he is named Samraj. In real time, the names are duplicate, but ID should be unique. Okay. Suppose I have some 3 lakhs record in which 30,000 times the name repeating Raj. Okay. So we need to store 30,000 times of the Raj. So if the Raj occupies 3 bytes, we have to store 30,000 into 3 bytes of data we have to store, which occupies around 90,000 bytes will occupy in the hard drive. Okay, which is a hard drive. So it occupies more space. This is all disadvantages. Maintenance cost is very high. The client has to buy ETL tool. Again, it occupies more space, which requires a lot of space. So it's all disadvantages. So to avoid, because in case of here OLTP, it's a SAP EC server. and here it's a SAP BW server. Okay, both of them the records are stored in the, or actually it's a hard drive. And to avoid all this stuff, we got a HANA picture. Now we'll see what's HANA exactly. This is my HANA server. So this is my HANA box. This HANA has a combination of OLTP plus OLAP. As HANA is a combination of OLTP plus OLAP, client will not to maintain the two servers individually. So we can reduce the maintenance cost. As we are not maintaining two servers individually, we don't require any ETL tool also. So we can reduce the cost cutting at buying the ETL tool also. And in HANA, we have a inbuilt calculation engine. We can perform the all runtime and DB calculations. Is advantage of HANA. And one more major advantage of HANA is the records are not stored in the hard drive. The records are stored in the RAM. So as you know, RAM is very fast. So when you create a report on this RAM, it increases the speed while fetching the data. When the speed is increased, performance also increase. So most of companies right now, they're looking for performance, which is given by the HANA itself. It's also increases space capacity. HANA also increases space capacity. How? In HANA, the records are stored in the column storage, not the row storage. Like C01, C02, C03, another one column. Then we have plastic and silver. Again, the plastic is repeating twice, but in column storage in HANA, the repeated value are not stored. So we can save this extra space here. Similarly, we have a quantity. We have 2 kgs and 1 kg. Again, the 1 kg is repeating, but in column storage we don't store the repeated value. We can save the extra space. Again, then in case of name, Raj is repeating 3 times, but we don't store all the Rajas. We store single Raj, which occupies very less space. Like that. Okay, 1 second. Sorry guys. So here, so we have so here what happened here? Suppose I have some 3 lakhs records. Under 3 lakhs, if I have 30,000 times the name printing Raj, but in this console we are not storing all the Rajas. We are storing only single Raj, which occupies just a 3 bytes. So we can avoid around 89,997 bytes we can avoid. So think of in real time how much space we can avoid. Okay, this is a major advantage of HANA. But if you maybe get a doubt, like if I need a record of 03, then how to again rectify? Thing is that here we don't store the actual value of Raj, but we store the reference value of the previous one. We can store pointer because the Raj is already saved and it's anyways a duplicate value. So instead of storing the original value, we store the pointer, the reference value of this Raj for it because both values are same. So reference will not occupy much more space. It occupies only 1 byte. If you show the Raj, it occupies 3 bytes. If you show the reference, it will show only 1 byte. So by this, we can save more space. Okay, this is the main major advantage of HANA and the databases which are using in real time right now. Okay, it's my OLTP available. So clear? It's a main advantage.
Yes.
Now we'll see what's HANA exactly. So when you talk about the HANA here, so HANA is a high performance, it's analytical appliance. We also call that it's a in memory. Why? Because the records are stored in the database, so we call it in memory database concept. The records are stored in RAM. In this HANA, we have a three concept. One is HANA Studio. It's a GUI. Okay, it's a irregular of GUI, graphical user interface. Maybe if you have because in AS we have the SAP screens, right? We need to go with the different T codes, transaction codes in order to move from one T code to the one screen to the screen. But in HANA, there is no such T codes are available. We have only one application tool that's called HANA Studio. We will work on all the activities on the stuff only. And this studio will connect to HANA client. It's an interface software which is a ODBC, and it is connected to HANA server. And this server supports only SUSE Linux only. It supports only SUSE, not only Ubuntu, not only Fedora, all the stuff. It supports only a SUSE Linux till now, which is of level 0.3 version. And we, because as I told you earlier, HANA will the records are stored in the RAM. So we have 1 TB capacity of RAM size to 250 capacity of RAM size, and this is provided by Dell company. Dell is providing this. Dell Inc. is providing the hard drive support. Okay, so will this studio and the client will support any OS. It supports Windows 8.1, Windows 8, any OS. So we'll install on any OS, but server will be installed only on SUSE Linux on separate machine. So we'll connect client to server with the ODBC drivers, and we'll connect the studio to client with the add machine. Once the setup is ready, so has a HANA will work on this activity. So we have different things. So we'll work on the modeling. In modeling, we learn about the schema creation, table creation in database, the fields creation in tables, creating a views, loading the data in the tables, as well as we have advanced HANA also, like we call as attribute view. So we create attribute view time based. So time based attribute view, how to create all the stuff, as well as we create analytical view, we create calculation view, and we create attribute hierarchy also. So we learn all this stuff practically. And in HANA, we tried some SQL course, a basic SQL course at procedure level, sequence level, trigger level, and synonym. Okay, and decision table. This will look on here. So with this, HANA is a new technology. So most of companies they want to do migration because they suppose my company is using Oracle software right now. They want to migrate to HANA. So we'll learn the extraction and migration also. I'll show you the practically how to migrate, how to extract the data from here. So I'll show you how to extract the SQL data into HANA side. Okay, as well as SAP EC server to HANA side, SAP BW data to HANA side. Okay, as well as this part. Okay. So we start from today the SAP HANA system. So as you know, HANA is a high performance, it's analytical appliance. So here we also call it in-memory database concept. Why? Because the records are stored in the RAM. That's why we call as in-memory DB concept. So in this HANA we have a three concept which is called HANA Studio, the regular GUI graphical user interface, it will connect it to HANA client, a interface software. The client will connect to HANA server, which is installed on SUSE Linux, supports the RAM database. So we have around 1 TB RAM capacity to 250 TB of RAM capacity, and this hardware will provided by Dell company. Okay, Dell Inc. will providing this hardware setup, and with support to Intel also. So we can install Studio and the client on any machine. This supports Windows 8, Windows 8.1, any machine, as well as the Ubuntu also Linux. But the server will going to install only on Linux system, only on Linux, which of SUSE Linux only. Like even this server is not installed in on an HDB server like we call as Ubuntu, Fedora, it not support. So we'll connect client to Studio client, and the client will connect to server with a option called ODB, Open Database Connectivity. With the help of Open Database Connectivity, we will try to connect client to server, and the Studio will connect to client with the add system. So once the connection is established, then we'll work on the HANA Studio. Okay. So in real time, what happen? They'll maintain some landscape. So this one server, right? They'll maintain this server has development, quality, and production. Right. Development machine, quality machine, and production machine. So as a developer, will work on this development activities. Once the entire project is done, we'll move the entire project from development to quality for testing. Here it will done the quality for testing purpose. Then once testing is done, we'll move to a final stage called production system, where the real-time work will go on. Okay? So the real-time user will work on this studio. So they'll get the real-time data. Based on those data, we'll get a report and then send to the client. Then the client will see the reports on this diet. This is called a system landscape for SAP HANA system. So we'll transport the object using a option called transport connection or transport manager. With the help of transport manager, we'll transport these options. This option we'll see in the last because it's a theory class, but we'll see. Assigning of different types of privileges, user admission. So let us discuss on the Studio first. Studio is just a GUI application where the user can interface, interact, and create some systems, create some applications. So we have a different types of versions. So it starts from size pack 1, size pack 1 starts, and we have size pack 7, and we have 6 is the old version. We got size pack 7 to size pack 8 is a middle one, and recently we got size pack 9. So now we are using the size pack 9. Okay. So Studio we are using the size pack 9, and the system, the server we call as HDB, HANA database. We call as HANA database. So the version of HANA database is we are using this 1.x version, which is running on level 0.3 Linux system. Okay. So level 0.3 is Linux system, and DB is a 1.x system, and the Studio is size pack 9. So this is how we have different machine software on this. Now we'll go with a basic architecture of the Studio and the server. How it looks like. Okay. So we'll see the architecture of HANA. So You can see here this is the artist of HANA. So it is called a HDB server, the database, SUSE Linux, and it is called HANA Studio, the molding part where the application will be installed, and it is called a BO, business objects, where the report will be created on the HANA system. And here it is the EC server, the SAP ECC, which is of Oracle database, running on OLTP system. And here it's a BODS, it's an ETL tool. It's called BW, where it is running on OLAP system, which is of Oracle system. Right. So first, let me discuss about this HDB server. This is my HDB server. It's of Linux system. Okay, this is HDB server. So, as a user or end user will send any request. So there's an any request. The request will go to in-memory computing engine, done by a section manager, processed by request processing, and checked by the SQL parser SQL script. Once that check has in HANA, the records are stored in the column storage as default, but if you want to store as row, we can also store as row. So based on the requirement, then the record will store in the column storage. From here, it will go to page management. So where the data will be stored temporarily, and there's have to call persistent staging area. We call persistent layer. It is used to check the quality of data. Once the quality is going to check, the logs will generate. That logs will be hold in the logger file. So that logs will hold in the logger file, and ultimate the records will store in the data volume. Okay. Once this entire process is done, the records, the tables are stored in the data volume. This is what we have here. So when you send any request or if you get any table or if you load any data, the record will directly go to will go to from here as a section manager. Will process by this request process and check by this process scape, and based on the client requirement, the record will store column or rows to it. And from here, move to page management, and the quality checking will be done by the persistent layer. So logs will generate, that logs will hold in the logger file. From there, it will go to data volume. This is what we have here. And as I said previously, HANA is a combination of OLTP plus OLAP. So here, the transaction manager will take care of the OLTP data. Metadata manager will take care by the OLAP data, and authorization manager will take by the authorization checks. Okay, because once you are using HDB server, whether you have the rights or not to use this HDB server, they'll check by the authorization checks. And there's an option called replication server. So the replication server will plays a major role here. With the help of replication server, we can load data from the SAP ACC data to in this HANA side, as well as SAP BW data, Oracle data, SQL data. All the records will be loaded. Like if they want to migrate, or they want to extract data from the different databases to HDB server. In such cases, we use this replication server. We'll discuss this part later. Then this is what we have here. So using a replication server, we'll load data from the SAP ECC, it's of OLTP data with the replication server. Why we are using a replication server? The main intention is the replication server will have the capacity to scan the target with respect to source. The source, see, at very first time, if you load the entire, like I want to load the sales invoice data. So first day I load entire records up to the date, but from second day onwards, the source system is updating because the new record are inserting or previous record is modified. That's updation will be done take place. Even that won't be modified in the target also in HANA system also. So replicant server will check for the target with respect to source system. If source system is updating, target also update. Okay, that take place by these options. Okay, and there's option called BODS. So here in the BODS, we don't use any replace server. Why? Because BODS is an ETL tool where we can do all the replication process over here, and we load from different source system to BODS and BODS to page management. That we'll do here. So it's a complete picture of this system. So as will work on the BO. BO is a reporting tool where we get a report on the BO data, HANA data, which is checked by the MDX page. Okay, this is what we have. So, is the entire picture here. You can see the SAP in-memory computing studio, the GUI. So, where the user can interface, and we have in-memory computing engine, which has replication server, will connect to EC server, and we have BODS server, which connect to directly as SAP in-memory computing engines. We have JDBS and ODB server with connect to SAP Business Object BI client tool and BO. Okay, this is what we have entire picture of this system. Okay, now we'll discuss about the HDB server, how it looks like, the architecture of HDB server. So when you buy like any company will buy any HDB server in a separate machine on Linux software. So the top appliance will be made which has around 10 services, out of which we have here 4 services: index server, preprocess server, name server, and static server. So index server, what will do? It will hold the data and execute all the operations, okay, which capture all the data, okay, which hold the data. And we have a preprocess server. So it just perform the pre-process the unstructured data into a structured data. So pre-process will do like convert the unstructured data into a structured data. And we have a name server. Name server means which maintains the landscape information. Name server which maintains the landscape information. We have a static server, collects the performance data about the HANA. Collects the performance data about the HANA. And so this appliance will connect, will create some multiple nodes. So we'll get a, this is called a master node, and this is called a slaves nodes. Okay, master and slaves options. If you don't create this multiple nodes, if you maintain only one single node, if you got a multiple request or a hundred of thousands of requests to hitting this server to perform some operations, suddenly it was failure, so it will stuck out. Okay, again the entire real-time work will be crash out. So to avoid such cases, we'll create a multiple nodes. If the number of requests are hitting to this databases, it will parallelly send the request to multiple nodes, so they'll perform the activities easily without crashing the main node. Okay, suppose the node 2 is there, it has around 300 requests is going on, so it was cache outs. Meanwhile, this request will process by main master node, and the rest nodes will continue their work. And as admin will work on this, we will do the repair on this stuff. Again we will transfer the entire request to the node 2, like this one. Okay, we have a host A, host B, host C, and C. Suddenly C was some crash out, so that take care by the standard server. But the host B and host A is keeps on running their request, so there will no, like they will be never stopping in the real time data. This is what we have here. So these are because of this two cases we use this option. So is a
Hello.
yeah, hello.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, can you please go to the previous slide?
This one.
Uh, no, the previous one. Yes.
This,
In this statistics server is only present in one node,
exactly.
or
We have, yeah,
will it be present in all?
all the other nodes also. We have around 10 services. We'll present in all of them because we are making this
Okay.
duplicate of this one. Here you just
The
because there's
same.
no space.
And uh, so you were saying, is there some kind of load balancer concept when it comes to distributing the processes between nodes?
Yeah, thing is that what they will do is I said no, these are things here. So they mean the server, they'll divide the server into multiple nodes. One node, two node, as I show you how it's happened. This is a main node, the server will connect to has multiple nodes. Yeah, this one. So when a number of process will hit to this database, I mean the HTTP server, will get the same database. like we have here. Okay, we note here. So these are all
Oh,
master node.
okay.
So because if you maintain only one, we have around 300 requests is going on. So system will not process 300 requests at a time. So it will crash out. So we are creating multiple nodes and it will divide the node. It will divide the it will divide the 100 and parallelly. So meanwhile they'll work because we are just kicking copy of this cells. We are getting some copy. Okay,
Oh,
like
okay.
we are maintaining
Yeah.
a hard drive, right? Suppose we hard drive. So what we do is make some recovery of Windows OS. I will make it into separate machine. In order to avoid a suddenly system is crash out, we can take a backup. So since scenario,
Oh,
the same thing, we'll maintain these options.
okay. Okay.
For
Thank you.
us, okay. Thank you. So this is what we have here. Done. Now we'll go with the practical. The basic theory. So we'll go to practical. Today I'll show you how to connect the studio to client and the client to server. Okay. How it's connected. So when first we'll connect this client to server first, then we'll connect the studio to client. So we have to connect the client to server. It's a ODBC drivers connectivity. So what we do is we'll go with the option called. So we'll first go with the control panel because it's already installed in the system. From there we have to choose the administration tools, admin tools, and here we have to choose option called ODBC drivers. From there we'll go with the system DSNL, and we'll try to connect this server. So we have to choose we need to choose the HDB. So we choose the HDB ODBC drivers, and we'll connect the server. Okay. So in order to connect the server, we need to have the username, password, host name, instant number of the server. Okay. So we need all these parameters in order to connect the server. So once it's connected, we get option called connected done successfully. Then we'll connect the studio to client. We'll see how it's happened practically. So you guys can have an idea. So we'll log into a server on a machine. So we'll start from today the SAP HANA system. So as you know, HANA is a high performance. It's analytical appliance. So here we also call it in-memory database concept. Why? Because the records are stored in the RAM. That's why we call as in-memory DB concept. So in this HANA, we have a three concept, which is called HANA Studio, the regular GUI, graphical user interface. It will connect it to HANA client, a interface software. The client will connect to HANA server, which is installed on SUSE Linux. Supports the RAM database. So we have around 1 TB RAM capacity to 250 TB of RAM capacity, and this hardware will provided by Dell company. Okay, Dell Inc. will providing this hardware setup, and with support to Intel also. So we can install Studio and the client on any machine. This supports Windows 8, Windows 8.1, any machine, as well as the Ubuntu also Linux. But the server will going to install only on Linux instead, only on Linux, which of SUSE Linux only. Like even this server is not installed in on an HDB server like we call as Ubuntu, Fedora, it not support. So we'll connect client to studio client, and client will connect to server with a option called ODBC, Open Database Connectivity. With the help of Open Database Connectivity, we will try to connect client to server, and the studio will connect to client with the add system. So once the connection is established, then we'll work on the HANA Studio. Okay. So in real time, what happens? They'll maintain some landscape. So this one server, right? They'll maintain this server has development, quality, and production. Right. Development machine, quality machine, and production machine. So as a developer, will work on this development activities. Once the entire project is done, we'll move the entire project from development to quality for testing. Here it will done the quality for testing purpose. Then once testing is done, we'll move to a final stage called production system, where the real-time work will go on. Okay? So the real-time user will work on this studio. So they'll get the real-time data. Based on those data, we'll get a report and then send to client. Then the client will see the reports on this directly. This is called a system landscape for SAP HANA system. So we'll transport the object using a option called transport connection or transport manager. With the help of transport manager, we'll transport these options. This option we'll see in the last because it's a theory class, but we'll see. Okay. So let us discuss on the studio first. Studio is just a GUI application where the user can interface, interact, and create some systems, create some applications. So we have a different types of versions. So it starts from size pack 1, size pack 1 starts, and we have size pack 7, and we have 6 is the old version. We got size pack 7 to size pack 8 is a middle one, and recently we got size pack 9. So now we are using the size pack 9. Okay. So studio we are using the size pack 9, and the system, the server we call as HDB, HANA database. We call as HANA database. So the version of HANA database is we are using this 1.x version, which is running on level 0.3 Linux system. Okay. So level 0.3 is Linux system, and DB is a 1.x system, and the studio is size pack 9. So this is how we have different machine software on this. Now we'll go with a basic architecture of the studio and the server. How it looks like. Okay. So we'll see the architecture of HANA. So you can see here this is the architecture of HANA. So it is called a HDB server, the database, SUSE Linux, and it is called HANA Studio, the molding part where the application will be installed, and it is called a BO, business objects, where the report will be created on the HANA system. And here it is the EC server, the SAP ECC, it's of Oracle database running on OLTP system. And here it's a BODS, it's an ETL tool. It's called BW, where it is running on OLAP system, it's of Oracle system. Right. First, let me discuss about this HDB server. This is my HDB server. It's of Linux system. Okay, this is HDB server. So, as a user or end user will send any request. So, there's an any request. The request will go to in-memory computing engine, done by a section manager, processed by request processing, and checked by the SQL parser SQL tip. Once that check has in HANA, the records are stored in the column storage as default, but if you want to store as row, we can also store as row. So based on the requirement, then the record will store in the column storage. From here, it will go to page management. So where the data will be stored temporarily, and there's after called persistent staging area, we call persistent layer. It is used to check the quality of data. Once the quality is going to check, the logs will generate. That logs will be hold in the logger file. So that logs will hold in the logger file, and ultimate the records will store in the data volume. Okay. Once this entire process is done, the records, the tables are stored in the data volume. This is what we have here. So when you send any request or if you get any table or if you load any data, the record will directly go to will go to from here as a section manager will process by this request process and check by this process scape, and based on the client requirement the record will store column or rows to it, and from here move to page management, and the quality checking will be done by the persistent layer. So logs will generate, that logs will hold in the logger file. From there it will go to data volume. This is what we have here. And as I said previously, HANA is a combination of OLTP plus OLAP. So here the transaction manager will take care of the OLTP data. Metadata manager will take care by the OLAP data, and authorization manager will take by the authorization checks. Okay, because once you are using HDB server, whether you have the rights or not to use this HDB server, they'll check by the authorization checks. And there's an option called replication server. So the replication server will plays a major role here. With the help of replication server, we can load data from the SAP ACC data to in this HANA side, as well as SAP BW data, Oracle data, SQL data. All the records will be loaded. Like if they want to migrate, or they want to extract data from the different databases to HDB server. In such cases, we use this replication server. We'll discuss this part later. Then this is what we have here. So using a replication server, we'll load data from the SAP ECC, which of OLTP data with the replication server. Why we are using a replication server? The main intention is the replication server will have the capacity to scan the target with respect to source. The source, see, at very first time, if you load the entire, like I want to load the sales invoice data. So first day I load entire records up to the date, but from second day onwards the source system is updating because the new record are inserting or previous record is modified. That's updation will be done take place. Even that won't be modified in the target also in HANA system also. So replicant server will check for the target with respect to source system. If source system is updating, target also update. Okay, that take place by these options. Okay, and there's after called BODS. So here in the BODS, we don't use any replicant server. Why? Because BODS is an ETL tool where we can do all the replicant process over here, and we load from different source system to BODS and BODS to page management. That we'll do here. So it's a complete picture of this system. So as we'll work on the BO. BO is a reporting tool where we can report on the BO data, HANA data, which is checked by the MDX fields. Okay, this is what we have. So it's the entire picture here. You can see the SAP in-memory computing studio, the GUI. So where the user interface, and we have in-memory computing engine which has replication server. Will connect to ECC server, and we have BODS server which connect to directly as SAP in-memory computing engines. We have JDBS and ODB server with connect to SAP Business Object PI client 2 and BO. Okay, this is what we have entire picture of this system. Okay, now we'll discuss about the HDB server, how it looks like, the architecture of HDB server. So when you buy like any company will buy any HDB server in a separate machine on Linux software. So that appliance will be made which has around 10 services, out of which we have here 4 services: index server, preprocess server, name server, and static server. So index server, what will do? It will hold the data and execute all the operations, okay, which capture all the data, okay, which hold the data. And we have a preprocess server. So it just perform the pre-process the unstructured data into a structured data. So pre-process will do like convert the unstructured data into a structured data. And we have a name server. Name server means which maintains the landscape information. Name server which maintains the landscape information. We have a static server, collects the performance data about the HANA. Collects the performance data about the HANA. And so this appliance will connect, will create some multiple nodes. So we'll get a, this is called a master node, and this is called a slaves nodes. Okay, master and slaves options. If you don't like, if you don't create this multiple nodes, if you maintain only one single node, if you got a multiple request or a hundred of thousands of requests to hitting this server to perform some operations, suddenly it was failure, so it will stuck out. Okay, again the entire real-time work will be crash out. So to avoid such cases, we'll create a multiple nodes. If the number of requests are hitting to this databases, it will parallelly send the request to multiple nodes, so they'll perform the activities easily without crashing the main node. Okay, suppose the node 2 is there, it has around 300 requests is going on, so it was cache outs. Meanwhile, this request will process by main master node, and the rest nodes will continue their work. And as admin will work on this, we will do the repair on this stuff. Again we will transfer the entire request to the node 2, like this one. Okay, we have a host A, host B, host C, and C. Suddenly C was some crash out, so that take care by the standard server. But host B and host A is keeps on running their request, so there will no, like they will be never stopping in the real time data. This is what we have here. So these are because of this two cases we use this option. So is a
Hello.
yeah, hello.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, can you please go to the previous slide?
This one.
Uh, no, the previous one. Yes.
This
In this statistics server is only present in one node,
exactly
or
we have, yeah,
will it be present in all?
all the other nodes also. We have around 10 services. We'll present in all of them because we are making this a
Okay.
duplicate of this one. Okay. Here you just
The
because there's
same.
no service. Hmm.
And uh, so you were saying, is there some kind of load balancer concept when it comes to distributing the processes between nodes?
Yeah, I think that's what they will do is I said no, these are things here. So they mean the server, they'll divide the server into multiple nodes. One node, two node, as I show you how it's happened. This is a main node, the server will connect to has
Yes.
multiple nodes.
Okay.
Yeah, this one. Done. Now we'll go with the practical. It's a basic theory. So we'll go to practical. Today I'll show you how to connect the studio to client and the client to server. Okay. How it's connected. So when first we'll connect this client to server first, then we'll connect the studio to client. So we have to connect the client to server.